So in an earlier post, I discussed the rivalry between Governor Cuomo of the state of New York and President Trump, and compared it to the potential rivalry between Shinzo Abe, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, and Governor of Tokyo, Yuriko Koike. And then Thomas, who studies literature at Stanford University, sent me a really interesting email in which he pointed out that the political system of the United States is that of a federation, so that the president does not have a total authority or power over political affairs in the United States. Although it appears that President Trump himself would like to think that he does have a total power and authority. Now, that email was quite interesting, and it reminded me of the fact that Japan actually used to be a federal state in the Edo era. Of course, we had shogun in Edo, the former name for Tokyo, and the shogun had a really high authority given directly from the emperor. However, all over Japan, there were states called Hans, and each state had its own samurai warrior governing the state, and this position was hereditary. So there was this strong sense of continuity and authority for each state, represented by the samurai warrior. So people in the state often express their dedication and attachment to the samurai warriors rather than the shogun in Edo, the former Tokyo. So in Japan, this federal system continued for 250 years until the Meiji Restoration, when Japan started the process of modernization. So although today Japan is a very central, has a very central government in which Tokyo controls every aspect of political system going on in Japan. So the governors of the prefectures do not have such a strong power compared to the prime minister. However, if you go to any local cities, you find that the people are very much influenced by this mindset in which each state had its autonomous governing body and its own culture and tradition. So people do refer to the former state or Hans in the Edo era when they refer to their local areas. So in people's mind, some aspect of the Edo era is still going on because people do refer to themselves as peoples of the former Han or state rather than the people of prefectures, which is a kind of invention of the modernization. So even though the political system on the surface are different from the United States and Japan, people's mindset can be said to be similar in the United States and in Japan. So another interesting aspect is that this culture of self-restraint. In the Edo era, the Tokugawa shogunate had political power as well as authority given directly from the emperor. The governing system was based on self-restraint rather than direct orders, so that each samurai warrior restrained themselves not to question the authority of the Tokugawa shogunate. They made annual ritual trip from their state to Tokyo and backwards. This procession was really formal and it costed a lot of money. But in that kind of symbolic action, that samurai warriors expressed their dedication to the Tokugawa shogunate. So that the authority of shogun was not so much in the actual physical power as in the symbolic status that the shogun had in governing Japan. So in this sense, I think the culture of self-restraint was very much cultivated among Japanese people, which continues to today. So probably that is why the lockdown in Japan, in the face of this coronavirus outbreak, is not so strange as compared to the United States and in European countries, because uh, there's this culture of self restraint and doing something without the government asking you to do that explicitly. So based on these cultural backgrounds, I think the Tokyo government today is able to uh, exert some influences over local governments and people's behavior all over Japan in this crisis. So if you look at this continuation of political and social cultures from the Edo era, I think there are many actually commonalities between the political systems of the United States and Japan. So I was able to think about these things thanks to this really interesting email from Thomas, who studies literature at Stanford University. So there was this really interesting conversation between us, and I keep the torch of conversation here in this video post. So please stay safe and smile, and let's be healthy.